And today we've got three special guests in this very special episode. We've got Wezi Gondwe of GreenCo here in Zambia, who's the managing director. We've got Helen Lubamba, who is the head of corporate and investment banking at Stanbic Zambia here. And we've also got Jed Goldstein, who is the lead for infrastructure at FQM or First Quantum Minerals here in Zambia. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Chilwe.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so please, could you just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at your organization? Starting with you, Wezi.
Thanks very much, Cholwe, and to our viewers and our listeners, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you. So as you said, I am managing director at GreenCo Power Services Limited. This is the Zambian franchise or entity as part of the Africa GreenCo Group. We are a renewable energy intermediary and trader. Operations are based around the SADC region. And that is informed by the presence of a power pool, the Southern African Power Pool, which is currently the only functional operating power pool in Africa that underpins our business model. So we are licensed as an electricity trader in Zambia by the Energy Regulation Board. Indeed, we were the first such entity to be licensed in Zambia, and we're also a member of the Southern African Power Pool. We're a relatively new company in this space. We've been in operations effectively, since 2020 in Zambia, and we continue to grow in Zambia and the region. Thank you.
Thank you, and good to be here. And hello to the audience. My name is Helen Lubamba, and I head up the corporate and investment banking team in Stanbic Bank Zambia. Our primary focus of our business is to look after our large corporates, large local corporates, some of the multinationals, as well as servicing the sovereign, which is the government institutions. So we provide financing solutions in different formats through the various product businesses that we have, which includes the investment banking team, transactional banking team, as well as our global markets team that really look after mainly your foreign exchange type transactions as well as your money market type transactions. Thank you.
Thanks. Really wonderful to be here with you today. My name is Jed Goldstein. I am the Zambia infrastructure lead for First Quantum Minerals. Part of my portfolio of responsibilities includes the power sourcing that First Quantum Minerals Zambia undertakes to power our operations in the northwestern province at our three operating mines, Enterprise Nickel Mine, Sentinel Copper Mine, both of those in Kolumbila, and our third mine, Kansanshi, which is just adjacent to Wezi in northwest Zambia. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So the reason for this team up is GreenCo recently signed a $55 million facilities agreement with Stanbic Zambia for financing power imports and to alleviate Zambia's ongoing power crisis, power challenges, energy crisis. So one of the major beneficiaries is you, FQM, and the mining sector, of course. So Wezi, can you please explain some of the background to the deal and why it's so important?
Thanks, Cholwe. As is very well known and felt, by everyone in Zambia, we are going through what I believe is the deepest, energy crisis, electricity generation crisis in memory, brought on by a severe drought that we experienced last season, and we're all very hopeful that we'll have some good rainfall this season. But we started getting an inkling of trouble ahead around about a year ago, and started to explore and think about what solutions we could bring to bolster and supplement our domestic generation, being very heavily dependent on hydro in Zambia. And so a scan across the region led us to a couple of solutions. We started importing some power earlier this year in collaboration with First Quantum Minerals, but obviously with a deepening crisis, we needed to scale up quite significantly that volume of power that we were importing. We also needed to respond very quickly to the situation, and also look beyond just supplying power now. But we know that when we have a hydrological crisis, as we have right now, even with the best rains over one season, things don't recover overnight. And so we tried our best to also think medium term as to how we could sustain the delivery of power. Now, any transaction is going to have multiple players. You need to put the puzzle pieces together in order to work. A transaction of this size and nature will have significant risks because of the quantum of power that or the quantum of financing that you have mentioned. The power is ultimately imported from the region, predominantly from Eskom, South Africa. We've collaborated with a very important stakeholder who's not at the table today, but that's ZESCO, our national utility, to facilitate that importation through them. And that has meant a significant cash outflow to secure that power over a 4-month period. So we started importing this emergency power under this transaction or under our agreement in October this year. So over 4 months up to the end of January, this is what we're calling the emergency import period. That power needs to be prepaid. And that starts to put a great strain on the finances of the customers to put money up front for power that you have not consumed yet. And that is where some innovative thinking, we put on our caps together with Stanbic and said, how can we come up with a structure that provides or avails the financing up front to take the strain off customers, and also then ensures that the power is secured for the country. So that is where the structure came in to put that together. And equally, First Quantum had to also be innovative and take some risk along with all of us to make it happen. And it happens, as I mentioned, not just over the 4 months that we are importing, but stretches it out over several months further to not only provide ongoing power to the customer, but I mentioned ZESCO, but also to give that what we call a recovery phase, so that there is a sufficient amount of time for ZESCO's generation to also recover, but maintaining supply over that term as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's such an incredible thing, and congratulations. And you touched on it already, Wezi, and Helen, this is for you. Where is the power being sourced, and what impact is it having?
Okay, Wezi has touched on the power being sourced in the emergency period from Eskom through the power purchase agreement that Eskom and ZESCO have. So we're using that transmission and methodology and contracting through that. And then post that is to take advantage of the regional supply of power through the Southern African power pool. So that will be where predominantly the sourcing of the power is coming from. And the impact, the key thing is to just ensure stabilization of the system. I think that's number one, because as we sit now, our power generation has fallen, I believe, just below 600 megawatts. And our requirements as a country is around 2,500 megawatts. So you can imagine the shortfall is huge. And that has an impact on the system if you do not have adequate power flowing through it. So stabilization is the key one. And the second part, obviously, is to bring in the much needed power, which is impacting every aspect of our lives. I think just about everything we look at. And as a bank, if we're going to be offering solutions to the country, those solutions are backed by power. In terms of productivity. So it's been critical for us to have significant off-takers like First Quantum Mines here in Zambia, giving us that base in terms of the off-take, as well as some other partners that will be coming on board in terms of off-take. So the impact is significant across the board, from the system itself to supporting the base of our economy, which is the companies as well as to the domestics, because a certain portion will be taken up by the mining companies like FQM, but there's also a portion that ZESCO can utilize for its general supply.
Okay, thank you for that. So Jed, what does this mean for FQM's mining operation?
Yeah, sure. As Wezi mentioned, as soon as the crisis became apparent, First Quantum began comprehensive engagements with GreenCo and with other traders and with Zesco to try to figure out ways that the company could supplement the power that's lost from the hydro generation in the southern part of Zambia because of the El Nino weather-induced drought. So what we're here, though, today to talk about has to do with an emergency transaction that began in October. And this emergency transaction, as Wezi has already indicated, what it does is it greatly supports First Quantum's operations during this critical time. It allows us to continue to operate without severe interruption, and additionally allows First Quantum to use the strength of its balance sheet to give Stanbic and Standard Bank the comfort they need to prepay for vast amounts of energy via this Zesco-Eskom construct. So this deal, in essence, is good for First Quantum. It's good for the overall Zambian mining sector because of the grid stabilization that it does provide. Additionally, it's good for Zesco, and it's good for the people of Zambia. And First Quantum is very proud and encouraged to be part of it because we do believe that it represents an innovative paradigm that the region can use going forward.
What makes it innovative is the need for us as banks, and particularly us as Stanbic and Standard Bank, having worked through these deals, to think very differently. When we got the call to say, would you be party to this, and the structure was described to us as a traditional banker, I was actually thinking, who's going to buy this structure? There's a lot of part of the structure involves looking at electrons and kind of building a model around how these electrons are going to be transacted. What that did was it takes the pressure off our utility company, which is dealing with quite a number of issues in terms of resolving its balance sheet. It takes away that need for upfront money and upfront funding of these imports. And the meeting we had in the initial stage in September included various stakeholders from Energy Regulation Board, Zesco, Chamber of Mines, and of course the parties that are sitting here as well. And it got great buy-in. And our teams in the energy and infrastructure team here at Stanbic, as well as our support base in Standard Bank Group, they looked at the structure, and I was very shocked when they said, actually, this is very doable. What it involves is simple, but it is innovative, and is something that it's a first for us definitely doing here. And so that's what made it innovative. Just your traditional banker is going to look at what are the balance sheets of your partners, like GreenCo, who's GreenCo, have they done this before, etc. So all those things in terms of security, etc., the usual things, we had to look at different ways in terms of how do we structure around those things and be able to deliver a solution which meets the needs of the country. It's able to meet the status that Zesco is in terms of from its the credit worthiness that it country's sitting with, and we're able to tick that box as well, and as well as be able to meet our significant off-takers like FQM, who came to the party even before we'd finished the structure, because they kind of front-run the process, knowing that we were going to come in and be able to then take over the rest of the structure, and therefore put less pressure on them from a prepayment perspective. And then also GreenCo. I mean, GreenCo, I'm proud to say, chose Zambia as the first place to kind of set up their model for providing creditworthiness enhancement structures, credit enhancement structures in Zambia, so that IPPs, independent power producers, would be able to face Zesco, and have modeled and have run this model through parts of Southern Africa. So be able to partner with them and be able to take that model and be able to actually deliver, because we have delivered the solution now. So looking forward to seeing that hopefully we can do more of this in the future. So we're going to use, it's being used for the emergency state, but there is also opportunity to use a similar format as we use the regional Southern African power pool.
Thank you for that, Helen. It's very great. It's fantastic. Happy for those insights you shared. Wezi, based also on what Jed and Helen have said, what potential does GreenCo see for the renewable energy market in Zambia? And is the government taking an active role in fostering new renewable projects as well?
We see significant potential for renewable energy development in Zambia. We are exclusively, our mandate is exclusively to facilitate and accelerate investment in new generation capacity. Our core, at the core of our model, is to provide that private sector-led pathway for new generation, and I mean by that not every electron that comes onto the grid necessarily needs to be bought and risk taken by the utility. As an aggregator, we are building a portfolio in Zambia and across the region. We are present at the moment in 3 other countries in the region. We are building a portfolio that will augment the existing generation in Zambia. We already have operating independent power producers in Zambia. And so this is not completely new. But as an intermediary and an aggregator, we will facilitate, the creation of a portfolio, a diversified portfolio in terms of geographic location and technology mix, as well as build then a customer portfolio that will offtake that power. All this entails working with utilities, ZESCO in Zambia, that will provide services to GreenCo for the delivery of that power and all the ancillary services that go with that. The government's very supportive. We've had our, the Vision 2030 program since, the 2015s or thereabout, in response again to, less severe drought crisis that hit the country, and so we see through the implementation of frameworks like the open access regime that will then promote the very direct participation of the private sector in the power electricity market in Zambia. We're very aligned with financiers like Standard Bank and Stanbic Bank, who are also geared towards promoting sustainable development, and one key leg of that is renewable energy. And so, even the putting together of this transaction, I think, as Helen alluded to, was all done under the auspices of the government's, emergency task team that was put together to do this. And it was very targeted at what solutions the private sector could bring. So we are very optimistic about the potential for renewables in Zambia from a system or operating perspective. Zambia could, absorb, another 2,000 megawatts of variable renewables into the grid, and that will go a long way in the future in diversifying away from hydro. We need to do this very quickly and ensure that we're not so susceptible to drought and other weather effects in the future.
Thank you, Wezi, for that. Jet, what other steps are you taking to improve your power supply as FQM? And beyond this crisis, are you optimistic about the future of Zambian mining?
Yeah, great question, Shoaib. Let me answer the latter part of your question first. First Quantum is very optimistic about the future of mining in Zambia. I think our recent S3 expansion investment of $1.3 billion, which is still in progress, but should come online, S3 should come online in the latter half of 2025, which will add another 150+ thousand tons of copper production to Zambia's overall output per year. So First Quantum is for sure very, very supportive and bullish about the future of Zambian mining. But in order to get there, and in order to realize the vision of 3 million tons, there do need to be some substantial changes or some substantial additions to power generation capacity within the country. As Wezi mentioned, we do need to diversify our energy mix away from solely hydro generation into other renewable forms like wind, like solar, maybe even hydro in other parts of the country that are not as that are not as susceptible to drought. So in the short term, and I guess medium term, First Quantum will continue to supplement its power supply, working with ZESCO, working with Southern African power pool traders to ensure that our operations can continue uninterrupted and we continue adding to Zambia's overall copper output, continue contributing to Zambia's economy. So that's the short and medium term. Longer term, we are looking to use the strength of First Quantum Zambia's balance sheet to help encourage independent power producers with large-scale, grid-scale, renewable wind and solar generation to come online. But the soonest that these projects realistically can come online is 2027, 2028, 2029. So we do have a difficult period in the next 2 years, but we have plans in place working with GreenCo, working with other traders, working with ZESCO to supplement via the Southern African power pool. More generally, though, it's one thing to add new generation, but all of this new generation and all of the new mining activity that is going to happen in Zambia in the coming years requires a modernized grid. So there's a lot of opportunity for grid infrastructure upgrades that are on the horizon. And we're working closely with ZESCO and a number of other stakeholders that require a stable electricity grid to advance projects that will help introduce more generation, help make sure that voltage fluctuations are under control, and that Zambia can realize that 3 million ton goal that we're all pushing for.
Thank you for that, Jed. It's been a great conversation. I've learned quite a lot. You've said quite some, set some great targets, and we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the future. And also talking about the future, are there any plans for further cooperation or deals between your companies?
Yes. It's a simple answer.
Yeah.
And we actually have a long pipeline of deals, including some imminent ones, and which we're working on, and they cover solar, they cover some hydro, as Jed has mentioned, in some parts of the country not so susceptible to drought. And so yeah, we're looking forward to more announcements coming through in the coming months.
Thank you all for your time. This has been BackChat. I've been joined by 3 special guests: Wezi from GreenCo, and Helen from Stanbic, and Jed from FQM. Thank you so much for your time.